Declan Rice, Arsenal apparently, they want him, and they want him in the summer. 18 million is the bid they are willing to put in, apparently. I've read lots about West Ham wanting a bit more than that. 100 million is the number that we've seen a lot of. Would he be the marquee signing that Arsenal need? Okay, Piers, what do you think about this? Well, I kind of know, because before the break, you sounded like you'd be delighted.
Could have nailed your colours to the mast a little bit, Piers.
I love Declan Rice. In fact, I've had this conversation with him on Twitter where I begged him to come before. I think he's exactly what we need. I think that when Arsenal have our first 11 starting, including Xhaka and Partey, we look really strong. But if one of those two gets injured, I think we need another big midfield enforcer type who can also play in attacking midfield. He can defend. I mean, Rice can do everything. And he's got that right mentality, that right attitude. I think he's very much an Arteta-style player. And I think he would fit absolutely perfectly into our squad.
Piers, it was interesting because we had a couple of Arsenal callers on earlier this morning. It was either Jordan or Rob, I think, made a point, and it's a valid one, which he said he didn't want Rice to come because he thought it might unsettle the rest of the team. You know, if you get a player in that all of a sudden he's not playing, because he didn't think he would march straight into the Arsenal lineup. And I took his point, and I think it's a valid one. However, I countered it by saying, if you want to be the best, you have to have a squad of 18, 19, 20 players, and it's Arteta's job to keep everybody united as a squad.
No question. You're absolutely right. And that's born from your own experience, I'm sure. You know, you can't win a league with just 11 great players. You need to have a proper squad. This is why City keep winning the league. They've got two great players in every position. You know, if you want to be serious, you've got to have a lot of people competing for the top positions. And it would be great for Arsenal to bring in a player of Rice's quality. And yeah, he wouldn't be guaranteed to start every game, and nor would anybody else if he came in. But that's exactly how it should be. And you play the players who are on form, and you keep, you know, and if you have an injury, you don't have to then suddenly think, oh my God, we're going to lose the next 3 games. You know, you've got top players who can come in at any time. I just think if we're serious, and it looks to me like Arteta now is really serious now about winning big trophies. And I've been begging for this to happen at Arsenal for a long time. You know, I don't count the domestic competitions anymore as big trophies. The big trophies are the Premier League and the Champions League. You know, we've been in one Champions League final ever. It's just not good enough for a team of Arsenal's stature or a club of our size, or the fact that we pay the highest ticket prices, I think, in Europe still. So, you know, we need to be ambitious. This has been my big problem with Arsenal through the last 8 years of Wenger, and then through Emery's 2 years, and then through Arteta for the first 2 years. There seemed to be a singular lack of ambition to win the really big trophies. Now I can feel it. I can feel that Arteta is building something special, and the board and the Cronkies have got to support him. And, you know, I look at the Mudryk situation, and, you know, I won't lie, I wish we'd signed him. You know, I think he's a really brilliant prospect, that guy. I think he's got the right mentality. He looks hard as nails. I look at Zinchenko and what he's done for us since he came. I think the Ukrainian players, probably a lot to do with what is going on with their country, but they seem to have an extraordinary resilience about them and strength of character. He seems incredibly well-adjusted young man and looks a lightning fast and great prospect. So I just think, yeah, we got outbid by Chelsea, and a lot of Arsenal fans saying we shouldn't squander that kind of money on somebody who's unproven. But actually, I think we should have gone the extra mile to get him over the line, and I think we should sign Declan Rice. Should have tried to get them both. If you want to win the big stuff, you've got to go for these big players when they're available.
Did Arsenal get bullied financially?
Well, I'm not quite sure how, because last time I checked, Stan Kroenke, our owner, is worth about $15 billion. And his wife, who's the Walmart supermarket chain heiress, is worth even more. He's just spent $6 billion on a new stadium in Los Angeles for the LA Rams NFL team, where they had the Super Bowl. I went there. It's absolutely magnificent. Really pleased, Stan, just spending all this money on a big load of bricks and mortar down in LA. But, you know, the idea that we can be financially bullied by anybody is absolutely laughable. We have the money if Kroenke wants to spend it. And the question to me is, if Arteta genuinely felt this kid, Mudryk, was worth 75, 80 million, then we should probably have gone the extra mile, not get bullied by Chelsea, get him over the line. If you know, I now trust Arteta's judgment enough to say if he believes this player is what we need to win the league, then get him. And I think, you know, we spent 70 million on Pepe. He's not in the same league from what I've seen of this kid Mudryk in terms of potential. So look, I think it's done. He's gone to Chelsea. Good luck to him. I think if it was a choice of Mudryk or Rice, I would personally prefer Rice. So if that is the alternative in the summer, great. But right now, look, we have an opportunity that we're maybe not going to get again in the near future, which is we're 8 points clear in the Premier League. We have a chance to win this. The window is still open. We have got to reinforce. We need another big midfielder and we need another forward, and we've got to get them in quick.
Piers, I've got to ask you, while we've got you in the dangerous I've got it wrong mode, I want to take you to a little bit further north to the city of Manchester, mate. Now, one man that seems to be getting it right would be Erik ten Hag, whose recent form with Manchester United has been fantastic. Looks like a good decision all round to get rid of Ronaldo.
Well, why don't you come back and ask me at 6:30 on Sunday? How cocky they're all feeling at United thing, because I've been watching it all and they've been beating a few teams and they had a good result against City, but let's not get the bunting out just yet. I think we're going to absolutely demolish them on Sunday, and then at that moment I will remind them that they managed to lever out the greatest footballer in history because they thought that was a great idea. And the other question I would ask is, will any of this brilliant new United team score as many goals for United this season as Ronaldo did for them last season?
Rashford might.
Well, I've got to say, Rashford's...
Well, he might, but he might not.
He's going the right way about it, though. He's going the right way about it. I mean, you almost sound, unsurprisingly, bullish about this game at the weekend. I'll be honest with you, Arsenal have been fantastic. Even the game at Old Trafford, I thought they were desperately unlucky to be beaten. They could have got something. And they keep, at this moment in time, they keep answering all the questions. But I tell you, it's a big... But we'll keep saying it. It's a massive period coming up with playing both Manchester teams.
Yeah, it is. But look, City have shown that they can be beaten. It's actually a really interesting debate, isn't there, about whether Haaland, who is absolutely fantastic footballer, whether playing Haaland in the way that they do up front has actually damaged City's ability to be as overpowering as they were before without a main central striker. So it's an interesting question for Arsenal, isn't it? Where do we go and get a conventional centre forward while Jesus is out, or do we actually try and play the way City were playing in the last few seasons, where they didn't bother? So I think there's an interesting thing about what's happening with City, and people certainly believe they can beat them now. Look, United, there's no doubt they've gone on a good little run. But there's also no doubt, in my opinion, that we are a better team. Again, if you pick a man-for-man joint team, Arsenal United right now, I've struggled to get more than 3 United players in it. So we are the team to beat. We're 8 points clear of anybody else. And I think we're going to make another statement on Sunday, and we are going to hammer them. And, I've heard a lot of people chortling away about Ronaldo. And as I've always said to you guys, Ronaldo's preferred option would have been to have stayed at a Champions League club to extend his records in the Champions League, which, by the way, he holds them all. But in the end, he obviously didn't get what he wanted in terms of an offer from a Champions League club. And he took an offer which has made him, last time I checked, the highest paid athlete in the world of any sport, the biggest transfer in football history, all at the age of he's about to turn 38. Well, if that is finished, I want a piece of that action.
But didn't he tell you he wasn't going to go somewhere for the money?
No, he didn't actually. People have put that quote around from our interview. I said to him, I don't think money is your motivating factor. I think your real motivation is extending your records, and that was... I just don't think he got a good enough offer from a Champions League team. If I know that. So I think in the end, he didn't get what he really wanted, which was to play Champions League football for another couple of seasons and then maybe go to Saudi. But I also think things changed. The Saudi result in the World Cup in beating Argentina, who went on to win the World Cup, the general performance of the Middle Eastern teams in the World Cup, I think that changed the narrative, actually, about football in the Middle East and about football in Saudi Arabia. They've obviously got a much better football set up there than I think most people realise. And from what I see so far, and what I've been talking to Ronaldo, he seems to be having an absolutely fantastic time in Saudi. And he sees it as something that's a brand new challenge. One of the things I've always admired about him, throughout his career, he's consistently tested himself with new challenges. It's always been why I put him ahead of someone like Messi, who's always played the safer game. Ronaldo's gone to a place where they're on the sort of cusp now of breaking out into being a proper football force for the first time, and he wants to be part of that, and he thinks it's an exciting challenge. Good luck to him. But again, people who say he's finished, do you know anybody else who's finished earning 200 million euros a season? I don't.
I suppose for footballers, you kind of you judge it if it's not on finances and if it's not all about money. I suppose you judge it on, are you still playing at the highest level in world football?
Well, hang on. Laura, Gareth Bale. How old is Gareth Bale?
30. How old is he? 3 now.
33.
And he's just retired. How old was Beckham
awful injuries in comparison to Ronaldo.
How old was David Beckham when he took the money in America?
But
32. Hang on, I'm finished yet. How old was Gary Lineker?
I thought you were asking me a question.
No, I'm making a statement. How old was Gary Lineker when he went and took the money in Japan, when Japan was a tiny force in football? Right. So my point is, throughout modern history, a lot of players have taken big paydays to go and play in Japan or America or whatever. I see absolutely no difference between that and what Ronaldo is doing in Saudi Arabia, particularly given that Saudi just beat the world champions in the World Cup. So I think there's a lot of sneering going on and mockery of Ronaldo, but he is 7-8 years older when he's doing this than Gary Lineker and David Beckham and others who've done it at that age. And where will Messi be when he's 38? He'll probably be in the MLS taking his money. So let's be, I think we should be a little bit more broad-minded and have our history right when we assess what Ronaldo's done here. Yes, he would have preferred Champions League, but he didn't get an offer good enough, so he's taken a stupendous payday to go and build now football in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, and I think he's going to enjoy the challenge.
100%. But if the question is about whether or not he's playing at the pinnacle still at the age that he is, he's definitely not. That's the question. And also the comparison to other players, if you're putting Gareth Bale in there, Gareth Bale has had some horrendous injuries, so his career actually I think is cut short, and that's not a comparison to Ronaldo.
Well, I would compare more Lineker and Beckham, who took the money in Japan and America. By the way, I don't blame them at all. But they did do that, and nobody really seemed to worry too much. They were giving up their top flight careers at 31, 32. My only point is Ronaldo's 37, about to turn 38. Very, very different situation. It would have been incredible if he had landed a new Champions League team. Go on.
Can I give you a quick scenario? If if the Scottish Premier League had the money that the Saudis do, would you have the same opinion if Ronaldo went to play in the Scottish Premier League?
I think if Ronaldo had gone anywhere that had Champions League football, I know for a fact, because he repeatedly told me, what he really wanted to do was extend his Champions League career, because he has most of the records in the Champions League and he wants to extend them, probably so that Messi can't catch him, so that he ends up as the GOAT of Champions League football. And I know that was his motivating factor. Ronaldo's driven, I do believe, he's driven more by records and legacy than he is by money. He's already got £500 million. So it's not like he needs a few quid in Saudi Arabia. He just happens to be getting a stupendous payday to build football there from a very good platform of beating the world champions. So I think that things did change a lot in the last few months in terms of the narrative about football in the Middle East. So that was a tremendous World Cup for the Middle East region generally. And so I think it looks a little less crazy than it would have done perhaps 6 months ago when Saudi were considered a complete irrelevance in football. But I'm not going to pretend that what he's doing is what he absolutely wanted as a first choice, because what he wanted was to extend the Champions League, but he didn't get an offer that was, for him, tempting enough to take. So he's gone and taken what he would have probably preferred to do in 2 years.
Okay, I've got to ask you a very quick question. We have to break. If at the end of the season, Manchester United finish in the top 4, will you come back on and apologise to Erik ten Hag?
Absolutely not. But when we hammer them on Sunday, and when we win the league, and when United do not win the league because they got rid of the GOAT, I expect Erik ten Hag to get on bended knee, beg me for forgiveness, and apologise to Cristiano Ronaldo for the shocking disrespect that he showed him.
We'll have to explain who you are to him first.
Oh, don't worry. I think he knows who I am.
Piers, thank you very much. Looking forward to your show as well. Piers Morgan Uncensored, Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m, only on talkTV. Piers, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, mate.
You can also watch talkTV on Sky 522, Virgin 606, Freeview 237, Freesat 217. You can also download the talkTV app.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.